This episode of Asking for a Friend is sponsored by BetterHelp. We always talk about investing in our health, fitness, nutrition, skincare, but what about our mental well-being? Whether it's stress, anxiety, navigating a life transition, or just feeling stuck, therapy can give you the support and clarity you need to move forward. It's a safe, judgment-free space to get honest with yourself and learn powerful tools for growth. You don't have to have a diagnosis to benefit from therapy. You just have to want to feel better. BetterHelp makes starting therapy easier. It's entirely online, designed to fit your schedule, and you'll be matched with a licensed therapist in as little as 48 hours. And if it's not the right fit, you can switch anytime. No awkwardness, no questions asked. Ready to take the next step for your mental health? Visit betterhelp.com/asking for a friend to get started today and to get 10% off your first month. Health, wellness, fitness, and everything in between. We're removing the taboo from what really matters in midlife. I'm your host, Michelle Folan, and this is Asking for a Friend. Midlife changes everything. How we gain weight, how we lose it, and how we feel in our bodies. If you've been frustrated with stubborn belly fat, aches and pains, or feeling less stable on your feet, stick around for my next guest. Today, I'm joined by Lisa Holtan, a fellow Faster Way coach and personal trainer who knows firsthand what it takes to build strength, mobility, and balance in midlife. We're diving into the biggest misconceptions about weight loss, why diet cultures failed us, and how starving yourself only leads to more fat storage. Yep, you heard that right. Lisa also shares why mobility, flexibility, and balance are just as important as strength training, especially if you want to stay active for years to come. Plus, if you're a golfer, you won't want to miss her expert tips on the best strength moves and stretches to improve your game. And of course, we'll chat about her own health goals, what she wishes she knew in her 20s, and the self-care habit she never skips. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and start seeing real results, this episode is packed with real talk and strategies you need to thrive in midlife. Lisa Holtan, welcome to Asking for a Friend.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm already giggling because, so here's the backstory here. Lisa and I we were roommates at the last Faster Way coach conference and just kind of found each other kind of by accident. Mm-hmm. And we ended up having so much in common, and we had a lot of fun together those 3 days. So
it was fun.
Yeah, it really was. Lisa, before we jump in, please tell the audience a little bit more about you, like where you went to school, where you live, and family stuff.
Yeah, so I'm in the Midwest. I currently live in Des Moines, Iowa. I have a background actually in business, and I actually worked in the business world for, about 3 years. And then I just decided sitting in a cubicle was not for me. And I went back to school for my first love of health and fitness. And that's when I got into personal training and nutrition coaching, which I've been doing now for 17 years. I've kind of done it all. I've trained it all. I used to work with high school athletes, worked with the football teams, basketball teams. I worked with small training facilities, kind of, like I said, have trained everyone in between. But my true passion the last 10 years really lies in helping women over the age of 40 figure out how to balance their hormones naturally so that they can lose weight and feel their best. Because that's really what it's all about, not the scale, but how well you feel so that you can live your best, healthiest, and happiest life. So yeah, we have one son. Yeah, he's in college. And so I'm an empty nester trying to find new hobbies. If you guys have ideas, let me know.
Well, actually, my podcast on Monday is all about empty nesting. So you can tune in to that one. Her name's Allie Hill, and she wrote a book. And so, yeah, they're very good timing.
That's perfect.
So you also owned a gym at one time.
Yes, I owned a gym for 5 years. Mm-hmm.
And then kind of what happened there? What was the transition point for going from owning the gym to doing Faster Way?
Yeah, so we owned a gym for 5 years, and it was a 24/7 gym that had group training and group exercise classes. So kind of more like, I would say, a 24-hour fitness mixed with a YMCA kind of together. It was not a franchise. It was my own business. And COVID came and, of course, shut everyone down for 6 weeks. When we were set to reopen, trying to work with a landlord, it just didn't work out with needing to reduce payments because we weren't having the clientele come back. And so ultimately, we did sell the gym to her. So I sold the gym to the landlord of the building. I think she kept it around for like a year and then she did close it. So I started Fasterway in that time. And a lot of my clients from the gym came over to Fasterway then because I wanted something that couldn't get taken away from me. Because I felt like my gym kind of got taken away from me. And I had worked really hard to build that community. So Fasterway was kind of the perfect thing for me to slide into. It was virtual. I could still have my gym clients, and it fits that niche of helping people with nutrition that personal training can't. Because when you're a trainer, we know all about muscles and how the body works together, but we aren't trained that well on nutrition. So like all my continuing education has always been on nutrition, but I think Fasterway kind of helps solidify that for my clients so that they can see how the nutrition fits into it, especially when they're, strength training. A lot of my clients do like to work out. So making sure you're fueling your body with enough food to get those results you want.
Yeah. And I guess, the next question would be, how did that transition work for you? Because you did all in person training prior to that, and now it's pretty much all virtual. How did you make that transition?
Yeah. Well, COVID made you make that transition.
Yeah.
But I actually started training people when Skype. I don't know if you guys remember when Skype came. I don't even know if Skype's still a thing. I don't even know.
I have no idea.
Yeah. So when Skype first came out, I actually started an online training business at that point. And I had a handful of clients and it was doing really well. I kind of let that business go when I opened up the brick and mortar gym. So when I did have to transition to online, it wasn't like it was totally brand new for me, but I hadn't been in that virtual space in a while. So it was a very quick having to learn as you go.
Yeah, we do that in everything we do.
Yes.
We just gotta learn as we go.
Learn as we go.
Yeah, this technology stuff can be a killer some days. So
yes, it can be.
You like to work with women who are 40 plus. So we're talking perimenopause and menopause largely. If you could debunk one major fitness or nutrition myth for midlife women, what would it be?
Oh, the nutrition piece would be you need to eat more food than you currently are eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost 95%. I mean, there's some people that I get as a client who are maybe overeating or just overeating the wrong things.
The wrong things, yeah.
Right. But definitely undereating from a calorie perspective.
Yes, definitely undereating, especially protein. Most of my females come in way under eating protein. They think 800 calories is a good caloric intake to have, and that's not. Toddlers eat more than that. So I do think that learning how to eat for your body is the best thing that you can do. And
then do you think we're getting any traction with this whole message about women need to eat more? I mean, diet culture, think about this. Your clients, 40s and 50s, maybe even in their 60s, have been through, Billy Blanks and doing, all that cardio. Do you remember Billy Blanks?
Oh, yeah. I had Billy Blanks VHSs. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And P90X. And then we were drinking Slim Fast. And, so we've all been through that. And, taking Dexatrim. And so how do we change that mindset? That mentality?
Yeah, I think this one is hard, and I don't think it's not changing. And I think it'll take a long time to change because it is the mentality that we've had for 30 years, right? Is to, eat less food and just exercise more or to try the latest fad diet. So I think the big part is when you can, first off, think of it as a lifelong journey. So stop thinking of your health as a start and a stopping point. You have to think of it as like, this is a lifelong journey. What am I going to learn on this journey? And just know that it's never ending. So even though you might have a weight loss goal or something you're working on and you might reach that, you still are going to have something else come up that you're going to want to work towards that goal then. So being like open-minded to the fact that this is a lifelong endeavor and there's not like a certain stopping point, I think can help open that mindset up.
I want to talk a little bit about why eating too little can actually lead to more stored fat. Because I think there's that, misconception out there that eating less is you're going to burn fat when you work out and that sort of thing. But talk to me a little bit about how you coach a client who is wanting to always like work out fasted or eat less because they think that that's going to benefit them when they are doing, say, more cardio and lifting weights.
Yeah. So, it's hard because we've been taught and ingrained to eat less, like I said, for like 30 plus years. So I think it's nice when you can see your macros and see how much food do I need to eat in order to fuel my workouts and fuel my body. I think the hard part is a lot of us say you need to eat more food, but what I think people hear is like, well, do I need to eat more chips? Or like, what am I really needing to eat? And so I think when you really can boil it down and learn what your macros are, and macros are carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, how much of all of those things does your body need in order to thrive, not just survive, but thrive? That's when I think you notice as a client, you notice all of those fat loss changes happening and you notice those strength gains happening. But if you're just listening to us and I'm saying you need to eat more food and you just go out and you're like, okay, well, she said I need to eat more food, I'll eat 2 bags of chips, that's not going to help you.
No, it's the quality, not the quantity. So,
yes.
It's, and I was explaining this to somebody the other day, is that I can give you a 1,500 calorie diet. That is, and I can just say, Lisa, you can eat 1,500 calories a day. But if I say, here's a 1,500 calorie macro nutrition focused diet, you will feel, night and day difference from just eating willy-nilly 1,500 calories per day.
Agree.
So, yeah. What do you think is one shift that women can make today that will have the biggest impact on their metabolism, just overall?
Oh, that is a juicy question.
We like it juicy.
Oh, I would say if you're currently not lifting weights, start lifting weights. And if you are, increase the weight you're lifting. So lift heavy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Do you ever get a client that's scared to lift? They're afraid to hurt themselves?
I have worked with people, yes, who are afraid. Generally, I work with people who have lifted for many years, who already know how to lift. But yes, I have worked with people before who are very beginner, very new to lifting. And I understand the fear of not wanting to hurt yourself, because we don't want anyone to hurt themselves. But you can always start with body weight because your body does weigh something. And then once you get comfortable with the movement pattern, you can add bands or you could add light weights and just work your way up.
Yeah, it's always so much fun when a client tells me that they went to TJ Maxx or Marshall's and they got more weights. They got heavier weights. Because I'm like, yes, that's awesome. That's it, So that's huge progress. And, and I tell everybody, look, you've got to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. So if that's 5-pound pink dumbbells, then that's where you start, and that's okay. It can be your own body weight too.
Correct. I mean, my biggest thing is like, let's stay out of the nursing home. So the number one reason why Americans go into the nursing home is because they can't get off the toilet unassisted, which means you either don't have the upper body strength to pull yourself off using bars, or you don't have the leg strength to get yourself off the toilet without assisting with your hands, which is like super sad, I think. So basically, you just need to learn how to do body weight squats. And like my 90-year-old grandpa went into assisted living the other day, and he called me and he's like, Lisa, I came to assisted living and I don't want to go to the nursing home part. So I'm going out and buying some 2 and 3 pound weights. I'm going to start lifting weights. I was like, all right, grandpa. So like, if my grandpa can get it, you can get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine had her first grandchild, and she was rocking the baby in the rocking chair. And she had to get up. The baby was asleep and she didn't want to wake the baby. So she's thinking, okay, I'll just stand up. Well, she couldn't. She could not get out of the rocking chair. She had to grab onto the dresser that was not close, but she had to grab onto the dresser holding the baby with one arm. And that was a wake-up call for her, And so we don't have to be in a nursing home to worry about getting off the toilet. It's sometimes just getting out of the rocking chair with the grandbaby, you know? So it's never too early to start thinking about these things, for sure. And this kind of dovetails onto mobility and flexibility, because I know this is something, I have to say this. So when Lisa and I roomed together, she was always up in the morning stretching and doing all that stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to go down and get coffee.
I'm a crazy person.
So she was stretching and doing all that in the morning in the room, which I was admiring her for doing that. So let's talk about that, because we haven't really talked about this topic much on the podcast, but that mobility, flexibility, and balance piece for midlife women. Can you talk a little bit about that and why that's such a mission for you?
Yeah. So balance, flexibility, and mobility decreases the older we get, just like muscles do. So if you don't use it, you lose it. So, and balance, flexibility, and mobility, that all ties into, again, are you going to have to go into the nursing home as you get older? Because the balance piece comes into play too, like trying to get up off the toilet or the rocking chair, holding onto a baby. It comes into play when maybe your grandkids want to go play pickleball or tennis, or they want to swing on the swing set. If you are not regularly practicing, challenging your balance, doing mobility work, doing flexibility work, that is when people fall down. That's when people get injured, and that's when you get hurt. So I do recommend that everyone stretches for at least 10 minutes, 3 times a week. And I like to do it before I go to bed at night, because then you can hold those static stretches for 1 to 2 minutes, which is what your body needs in order to get into the parasympathetic part of your body to calm down. And once we can calm down and relax that muscle, it also helps us to sleep better at night.
Ah.
Yeah. So you're kind of like...
Women love that.
Killing 2 birds with 1 stone right there.
Yeah, I love that. So give me an example of one of these mobility stretches that you like.
Yeah, so I have very tight hips and very tight hamstrings. So that's what I focus on stretching. So I like to sit on the floor, and put my legs out straight on the floor and then lean over like you're trying to touch your toes. That's a great one. And just hold and breathe and take very nice deep breaths. The other one I like would be called pigeon or figure 4. And that's a good stretch for the hips and the glutes. The other one a lot of people can do is put your legs up the wall. Not only does that help to stretch out your hamstrings, but it also helps with circulation, and it helps to calm your body down. So that's a great one to do before bed as well.
Yeah, I like legs up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is so nice. I do that with my red light mask on.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Oh, whatever it takes, Lisa,
That's right.
Whatever it takes. So in terms of the stretching, though, so I like to stretch before I go to bed as well. But what about stretching before you work out? I know that can be kind of controversial. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so my thoughts about that is you should be doing dynamic stretching before you work out. So dynamic stretching is not holding a stretch. That's static stretching, which is what you would do at night or after a workout. Dynamic stretching is like moving through a stretch. So an example of that would be like knee hugs, like standing up straight and pulling one knee up to your chest. Something like that. Or, you could do a hamstring stretch, but you're moving through the hamstring stretch and not just holding it in place. And I think those are great for a warm up. It gets your body and muscles ready to do the strength workout.
Okay. So Lisa, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about your training for golf and recreational fitness. If you've been sitting on the sidelines wondering if it's too late or if you're fit enough to start, this is your sign. The truth is, you don't need to be in shape to begin. You just need to be ready to show up for yourself. In my 6-week midlife metabolism reset, I'll meet you exactly where you are. Whether you haven't worked out in years or you're already active, we start by mastering the basics: simple, sustainable nutrition, energizing movement, and strategies that work with your body, not against it. This is your chance to reclaim your energy, reset your metabolism, and build a foundation for strength and vitality for the years ahead. But here's the thing. You have to make the first move. Are you ready? Let's do this together. Head to the link in the show notes to join us now. Okay, we are back. So Lisa does these videos on Instagram where she is kind of showing how she would kind of prepare or stretch for golf. And first of all, how much golf do you play?
So honestly, I just learned how to play last summer, but I have a certification. I'm actually a golf specialist as a personal trainer. And I've had that certification for years now, and I've trained many golfers over the years with that. But honestly, I never knew how to play myself until just last year.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
And I bet you feel much better because now you know how to stretch. Because I'll tell you, my first couple times out to the driving range, I'm sore for a couple days.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
For sure. So you help women prepare their bodies for golf. What are some of the key strength moves that make a difference, you think, on the course?
Yeah. So if you are going to play golf, whether you're an avid golfer or you just like to go out every once in a while and play, you do want to make sure you're including rotational movements in your strength training. So anytime we're like rotating the spine, like a Russian twist or a plank twist, we want to be incorporating things like that, because when you golf, that's what you're doing, is you're rotating through the spine. So we really want to make sure we have that mobility and the strength in our core to swing that club. And then the other thing you want to work on is your balance. So that's kind of the balance piece of it, because when you're swinging your club, you are shifting weight. So you're shifting from one side of the hip to the other side of the hip. So you're changing that balance. And if you don't work on your balance in regular life, you will have a problem with your swing at golf. So a simple balance movement is even just standing on one leg as you brush your teeth, or doing side lunges. Those are fantastic for balance and, helping to work the hips and outer thighs as well.
Yeah. And I want people to know that like I was working out this morning and I was doing some lunges. And there were a couple times I was kind of like wobbly or whatever. Don't ever let that stop you from continuing to work on that skill, because you can increase your balance through doing some of these things like Lisa is saying. But yeah, it's fine when you're in your basement. There's no one around. But just give yourself a break, because it's okay to stumble a little bit, but keep working on it, right?
Exactly. And there are days, when, like, if you're tired, your balance isn't going to be very good. If you didn't get good sleep, maybe if you're focused on something else, that is when you'll feel more wobbly. So just know that sometimes your balance will be better than other days, and each side of our body will be different as well, and that's okay.
I love the standing on one foot and brushing the teeth, because I think that's easy, because
it's easy. You're already brushing your teeth. You can just stand on one foot for a little bit. The counter is there. If you feel wobbly, you can hold on for a few minutes if you need to. But yeah, it's a great way to work ankle mobility as well.
The other thing that, when you're making dinner, or you've got your counter there, the kitchen counter there. That's also not a bad time to maybe stretch a little bit, or, stand on one foot, because I think we miss some of those opportunities through our day to do little mini exercises. We talk about exercise snacks, right? Mm-hmm. That, because sitting, they say, is the new smoking, and just getting up and standing next to your desk and doing a couple squats or doing some stretches or something, just to get your body moving. So
yeah, we just want to get that blood flow moving. So, leg lifts while you're, making ground beef for supper, doing some calf raises. Those are all great things to help get a little extra movement in your day.
Yeah, that's good. Could you share a client success story?
Yes. So this is a big weight loss success story, and I want to share it because of the timeline, because I think a lot of people have weight loss goal, and I don't think they realize the timeline on it. So I had a client, Christy, she's lost 60 pounds, so 60 pounds, which is amazing. And it took her 2 years to lose that weight. So I know a lot of people out there are probably thinking there's no way I'm going to spend 2 years to lose 60 pounds, or I could do it, a faster way, which you might be able to do it a faster way, but is it sustainable?
Right.
And will that weight stay off? So with Christy, she worked with me on the faster way. And actually, she didn't do the workouts. She is one of my only clients that actually does not work out, but she just strictly followed the nutrition. She hit her macros. She worked with me on some stress relief, and she lost 60 pounds in 2 years by being consistent. And she still went on vacation. She has a stressful, job. She works 2 jobs, actually, pretty stressful jobs. But you know what? Just remaining consistent, doing the daily habits and doing the things that it takes in order to reach that goal is what she did. And she stuck with it, even when it was hard. And even when there was times when she was like, how much longer is this going to take? And I was like, I don't know. We're in it for the long haul. Let's find out. But if you just stick with it, you will reach your goal.
You just returned from a trip, and I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but you just returned from a trip, and you and I have been out to dinner together. And I will say that one of the most asked questions I get is, how do I stay on track? Or how do I go out to dinner with my friends? How do I go to France for 2 weeks? Those are all very real questions I get from my clients, because they're all traveling and, visiting friends and their kids in New York and whatever. So when you go on a trip, Lisa, what's your strategy for dining?
So for dining, I don't limit myself. I do eat what I want to eat, because I don't think when you're on vacation is the time to focus on your macros or try to hit everything perfectly. I think it's a time to enjoy yourself and enjoy what you like to eat. But the trick is, as soon as you get back home, that's when you get back into routine.
So your philosophy is like mine. It's not, you're not starting over when you come home. The one thing that I did have this conversation with a client this morning, because she is getting ready to go to Sicily with her girlfriends.
Fun.
And I said, well, just play it forward. How do you want to feel in the afternoon? I said, so my suggestion to you is make sure that first meal of the day, you are getting plenty of protein. I'd skip the croissants and the, Danish and stuff at breakfast and the mimosas, just so you don't feel really poopy at one in the afternoon. But it's really eat for how you want to feel.
Yes.
So if you need to have energy to go on the hike or, all day shopping or whatever, fuel your body appropriately for that.
Exactly. And eat what you want. If you're in Sicily or I was on vacation, eat the dessert if you want to and have no guilt about it. And just know that vacation's going to end and you're going to get back home and go back to routine.
And we always say it faster way, it's memories over macros. So
exactly. Yes.
If you could go back, Lisa, and tell your 25-year-old self something about fitness and nutrition, what would it be?
Eat more food.
I think it's the theme of the day.
Yeah. I was always an avid exerciser. Even in high school, I'd get up early with a friend. We'd go lift weights at this all male gym. It wasn't all male, but it was mainly males there. And looking back, I was working out. I was doing such a good job, but I just was not eating enough food. Lunch of pizza and saltine crackers is not going to get you muscle when you're 16. So I wish I would have known just to eat more food, higher quality food, better food.
Yeah. Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I ate enough food, maybe, but the quality was definitely not there.
Quality was not there.
I think the Kraft mac and cheese out of the blue box in college that my roommate and I would split a box.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, the ramen noodles and
And the frozen pizzas, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why we went home for dinner on Sundays.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
We needed some real food.
Yes.
Lisa, what is one of your own personal health goals this year? Do you have something that you're working on?
Yeah, so I'm actually working on getting stronger. It is a change working out at a gym and then coming to your home to work out. So my goal is actually to put some muscle on and to get stronger, because muscle is longevity. And I've told everyone, and I have a podcast, I say this on my podcast, is my goal is to be like the 100-year-old lady living in Florida, teaching water aerobics, drinking wine in one hand and eating brie cheese in the other hand. But in order to do that, I have to be healthy and strong now in order to live that long and to get to Florida and be able to enjoy that. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I went to a psychic. I've talked about this before, but he told me, he said, I think you're going to live to be about 90 or 92. Well, you can live to be 90 or 92, but do you want to be walking around and spending time with your family, or do you want to be in the wheelchair in the nursing home? Well, I don't want to be in the wheelchair in the nursing home. So I, like you, am trying to make some changes now so that we can make that possible. So
right, because it's what you do now that affects 30 years from now.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a self-care non-negotiable that you do for yourself every day?
Oh, that's a good one. That I do every day?
Maybe not every day, but something that's a non-negotiable for you.
So I have a sauna, and I sauna twice a week, and that is a non-negotiable.
Can you talk about the sauna a little bit? Like, what do you find is the most beneficial for you?
Well, it makes me happy in the winter, I'll tell you that. I think for me personally, it does help decrease muscle soreness for me personally. And honestly, it really does help me feel better, especially in the winter, because again, I live in the Midwest. Not a lot of sun. It's cold. I don't like that. I don't like snow or being cold winter. So it does make me feel better just overall. Being in the sauna. The sauna has other health benefits too. And I know Stacy Sims, Dr. Stacy, talks a lot about sauna and the benefits to women and fat loss for that. But honestly, for myself, I do more for muscle recovery, relaxation, and just feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. I was joking with another podcast guest. I said, there's a sauna at the gym right up the street from where I live. I was thinking about just joining the gym. I like working out at home, but they have a sauna. And I'm like, I'm not going to buy a sauna for my house, but I could get into that. I like the sauna. It's been a long time now.
Fantastic.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to do a little quick fire round here. Just going to ask you some questions. What's your favorite protein powder?
Shackley.
Shackley?
Yep.
Okay. We're going to put all these in the show notes. What's your favorite form of exercise?
Strength training.
Yeah. Girl after my own heart. What's your least favorite?
HIIT or anything on a treadmill.
Yes. Me too. And how many steps do you aim to get every day?
10,000.
10,000. Yeah. I tell clients, if you can get at least 8,000, that's a great way to start.
I agree.
Lisa Holtan, talk about your podcast.
Well, my podcast has had a couple different iterations throughout the years, I should say. I've had it for 4 years now. And currently, it is called the High Vibe Life podcast. There's 2 episodes that release every week, one on Monday, one on Thursday. Monday is very short. It's just a Monday motivation episode to give you a swift kick in the pants to get your week going. And then Thursday, I usually dive deeper into whatever I talked about on Monday, or we have a guest on Thursdays.
Perfect. And then can they find that on any of the podcast platforms?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then where would they find you on Instagram?
On Instagram, I'm just under my name, Lisa Holtan, Holtan.
Everybody look her up, because especially if you're a golfer, but she's got some great overall tips and tricks for fitness. Remember, Lisa is a certified personal trainer, so she is in the know. Lisa, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's fun.
It was.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Please rate and review the show where you listen to the podcast. And did you know that Asking for a Friend is available now to listen on YouTube? You can subscribe to the podcast there as well. Your support is appreciated and it helps others find the show. Thank you.